Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast, is presented by the Vintage Anime Video Network. Visit us at www.vintageanimevideo.com.
Oh, let's book it!
Wow, there's so many people. Figure skating sure is popular.
What'd you think, Luna? Like the old days, huh?
Yes. Where's Serena?
Oh, wait for me. I'll be right there. Ah! These skates make me clumsy.
Oh, she's on her butt again.
So, that's not unusual.
Oh, poor Serena. She's unbelievably embarrassing.
Janelle! Misha!
Where? Oh, I can't believe they're here. Oh, Misha. What a hunk!
Hello, and welcome back to Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast. It's been a really long time since I've gotten to say that, so that felt kind of nice. Obviously, we've been on hiatus for a while. It's not that interesting, but essentially, I was super excited, ready to go for the summer back in June. I had been sort of working on music for the show, for myself, ready to dive back into recording and editing and getting it out for you guys. And then my air conditioning broke. It took over a month for it to get fixed. And it was such a stressful environment and a horrible, living situation that it would not have been a great energy to bring that to the show. That's not what the show's about. So I was like, you know what? It's best to just wait till things feel right. Things feel good now. So here we are. And I'm just really happy to be back. And I know Chris is too. We've been having a lot of fun recording the Doomtree series right now. So you guys can get excited for that. That's where we're at in the recording. And this episode is still back in season 1. We're on Ice Princess today. That's the update for where Chris and I are at right now with the Moonstar project in real time. But as far as where we left off with you guys, I know we were really talking a lot about the Terry Hawks interview, which has happened since then and is great. It's up on Chris's YouTube channel, Chris Mayick. You can go check out the Terry Hawks interview he did with her there, which I believe is a video interview with her. And I would say definitely if you want to pause and go watch that, by all means do that. I encourage it. If not, we'll be sharing an audio-only version of that eventually on the show here, and I might make that a Terry Hawks special and include some other things about her as well. So you can look forward to that as part of the end of season 1 for Moonstar. And yeah, that's it. This week on Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast. See, because in my head, everyone in Minnesota in the wintertime is just out on the frozen lakes wearing really cute scarves and outfits, and there's Christmas lights everywhere, and it's like a movie. Have you ever ice skated?
I think I might have tried it once when I was really, really young. Besides that, no, I haven't.
And I wanted to ask you, do you think that had any influence over why you connected to Sailor Moon in any way?
I didn't really think about that, but maybe in a way, yeah, since that's all mostly a female cast. It's not something I ever thought about.
Well, it's been a fun morning for me. How are you?
I'm good. I just had the interview I was telling you about yesterday afternoon.
How was that?
It was great. It's like one of the best ones I've done in general. I think we were talking off camera for like 20 minutes too.
Is there any like behind the scenes chat you want to share?
Well, we didn't really. It was more, I think, a lot of stuff that we talked about this time. It was a mix of things. It was like big parts that she had in more obscure late 90s, early 2000s anime that a lot of people like that isn't widely known. And then it was stuff about Fire Emblem, because we didn't really talk about that the first time that I interviewed her.
Mm-hmm.
And various things about voice actors that were in her circle that like passed away since we had talked 3 years ago, and just things like that. It went on for nearly an hour, like it was 52 minutes.
Oh wow, that's some deep stuff to get into, and this is all live already on the YouTube by the time people are hearing this. If they want to find both interviews, remind them the name they should look for.
Wendy Lee. Under just search Wendy Lee, Chris Mayak, and they'll both come up.
Yeah, and we said last time, I think, what multiple roles she had, but you mentioned the Fire Emblem stuff, and you sent me a video of your new tattoo with I think it's the voice actor in the background for that character, right?
What do you?
The story or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, like the part. Yeah, I mean, it was more so for my mom, like someone who's dedicated to their mom and was mostly raised by their mom is why I got it. But it's also because a number of reasons. One of them, is Alir's voice actor, Brandon McGinnis. It's just one of my other favorite interviews I've done. It was this same time a year ago. I interviewed Brandon on August 31st of last year, and the game that the character is from, Fire Emblem Engage, that didn't come out until late January of this year. But yeah, it was still really fun because he hadn't really done any. That was the first interview that was long form that he had done that was only focused on him, and he wasn't with like a panel of people.
That must have been a fun experience for him then too, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a different thing when you get to like just go in on your own experience without having to balance it with other people. And you were saying, though, I read in the caption about just that's why you relate to the character. He was mostly raised by his mom. And I wanted to ask you, do you think that had any influence over why you connected to Sailor Moon in any way?
I didn't really think about that, but maybe in a way, yeah, since that's all mostly a female cast. It's not something I ever thought about.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, there is a lot of like really positive, strong female energy in this show. And if that is your upbringing, it kind of makes sense that you would connect to it. So I think it's interesting. You never thought about that, but yeah. So I had a similar situation in the sense that like my dad was the one who worked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my mom was the one who was like around, and I think it probably had an influence on me to a degree as well. The tattoo, if people want to see it, it'll have been shared for a while now, but they can just go look at your Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just scroll down a little. And the character's name was
Alir, Alear. It's the protagonist of the most recent original Fire Emblem game.
I need to get that one. I'm behind. The last one I played was with, I think it's Byleth, is how you say it?
That's 3 houses.
Yeah, I always called it Blith because I don't know why. When in my head, anyway. That was a fun game though too. Just on the docket, I mean, this stuff will have been out for a while, but I like to have I guess this is for me kind of for fun, like a audio diary. But we're recording today. It's August 27th, and this is also the day when the Card Captors podcast is going live.
Yeah.
Right now, episode 0, which is just a little intro to what that show is, specifically for people coming from our show, that's already up. So people can listen to that. But later today, the first full episode is dropping. And you are featured at the end of the podcast exclusive episodes, or the whole, well, your segment is like exclusive to the podcast version. It's called Chris's Corner. And if you want to tell that, what is like your participation in the show, I guess?
It's pretty much just going over my thoughts on episodes and artistically as well, production art perspective and voice actor perspective, just more of the analytical things that we also talk about on my end from in the show as well, and in my own interviews.
Yeah. And I wanted to bring your perspective over to that as well with mine and Matt's, because part of doing this show with you helped me, I think, get a better eye for animation in general. And it helps me look for details that give me a whole new layer of like enjoyment with the show that I just wasn't paying attention to before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure if it does that for me, it's doing that for our listeners too, Yeah. And so people can go check that out. There is also a YouTube counterpart to Keepers of the Cloud that will be up on Matt's channel. And at the end of that one, he's going to be doing a merch segment, and there will be visuals and stuff with that. So, because he's actually the Guinness Book World Record, I don't know what the proper term for it is, holder for most Cardcaptors memorabilia owned, actually. So
wow, that's insane.
Yeah, I know. I didn't even know that when I approached him to do the show either. So it's kind of like with you, how I didn't know you had all these interviews. We kind of just met on the Sailor Moon forums.
Yeah.
And then it just happened to work out really well. Same thing with him. He's got that. He's got the Cardcaptors Museum. So I'm pretty happy with that. And people can check out the website for that show. Go to vintageanimevideo.com, because Vintage Anime Video Network is now the home of all these shows, and it's on the main page. You can just scroll down, click the button for the podcast, and it'll be there. Moonstar is also featured on that website as well for anyone who wants to check it out. And that's kind of my exciting news on this end, other than, we hit the school year, so I'm busy with that. I don't think anyone cares about that. It's fun for me though, because I get new students, and students come back who were gone over the summer and all that kind of thing. So I get to hear fun stories. Something I think people miss out on if you don't have kids or work with kids is when a kid comes up to you and is so excited to tell you about how they hurt themselves. Because it's just like the like pain is over, you know what I mean, for them, and now it's just a great story. And it's like some of them react differently, but the young ones usually are just like jazzed about it, and I think that's so hilarious. So I get to hear fun stuff like that. What about you? Any like life updates or anything?
Since the last time we talked, not really. Besides the tattoo and then this interview, I have another interview, 2 more actually. I have one tonight at 6, and then I have another one next Thursday at the same time. The one tonight is with Anjali Kupananini. She's a modern anime voice actress that's, I think, one of the youngest I've talked to, actually. She's 22, and she's already pretty established in the industry for not doing it that long. She's made 2 bigger characters, male and female, in the new, like, coming out today, nowadays Pokemon series. I think it's like Pokemon Journeys and Pokemon Horizons.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a big...
She's Dory in Genshin Impact, and Su Shang in Honkai Star Rail. Honkai Star Rail is the other Genshin similar game made by the same company as Genshin. She's one of the main characters in a like mystery RPG game called Detective Raincode that just came out on the Switch. That'll be tonight, and I'll get that up right away once it's done.
Well, by the time they're hearing this, that'll have been up for a while.
Yeah.
But you listed a whole bunch of stuff there. The standout for me is definitely Pokemon. I'm sure for other people it will be something else. But that's a lot at 22. And it's a really diverse like set of roles too, having the video game stuff in there. That just made me wonder, because you touch in video game voice actors kind of with crossover. Have you ever interviewed any Final Fantasy voice actors?
Yeah, I'd have to go over the list. But I like last year. I think it was last year. Last year or 2 years ago, I did an actor that is mostly on camera actor. His name's Major Dodson, but he played the young version of Cloud in the 7 remake, and
Okay.
I did Damon Mills. Damon Mills played Weiss, like one of the main villains in Final Fantasy VII, too. And then who else? Oh, I guess probably the biggest one is Doug Erholtz, who is Leon Squall.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's it. Like, see, for me, the ones I would hope for are kind of deep dive, like similar time period to the Deke interviews, which you've gotten, so maybe you could end up with some. But anyone from Final Fantasy X who did like maybe Tidus or Yuna, or
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean, or like Final Fantasy 12, I believe had voice acting as well. That era. I was always curious about the people who did that because those were some of the first ones that had it in the series, you know.
Yeah.
And 10 was notorious for the like lip dubbing being horrible.
Yeah.
So I think if you ever could interview them, you would get a lot of great like insight. And there's like that meme moment with Tidus laughing like a lunatic and all that. You know what? There's like a lot to pull from there. So if you ever end up with those, for me, I definitely want to hear about it. But yeah. Anyway, are you ready to get into this week's episode?
Yep.
Today on Sailor Moon, Lita's showing off her skating skills and falling for a hunky ice star while I'm falling, in a more painful way. But when the ice stars turn out to be evil pawns of the Negaforce, Tuxedo Mask suddenly comes to my rescue. Is he on our side again? You just stay right there, and I'll show you.
All right. So Deke called it Ice Princess, which I think might be a Disney Channel movie also, now that I think about it, and is kind of a really weak title if you ask me. What is the Japanese title?
Paired with a monster, Makoto, the ice skating queen.
Yeah. And I think that's better. It gives you some information up at the top like they always do. But it's just like the whole paired with a monster thing is a little more like, oh, that sounds interesting. Like
Yeah.
Ice Princess is very bland and is also kind of misleading. Do you have any initial thoughts on this episode?
It's one of my favorite filler episodes from the series overall. I always remembered it because I had the tape that this was on when I was really young, so I've always had a pretty good memory of the episode.
Same. And this one was a big deal also in my childhood because of my friend who really likes Sailor Jupiter. So before I saw this one, it was like one she was excited for me to see because there's a lot of character development with her that we get in this episode. And as they said, she was an ice skater. That's like how we just learned that Rei is good at skiing. It's kind of like one of those character details that it's funny I think as adults we forget how important those are to children.
Yeah.
Because if a kid is like, oh, I like that, and that character that I likes that, oh my god, they're just like me. And when you don't maybe feel like there's a lot of people around you who are like you, that's a big deal. So I like that we get an episode like that as well, for Lita or Makoto, whatever version you're following. Have you ever ice skated?
I think I might have tried it once when I was really, really young. Besides that, no, I haven't since I've been an adult.
Why not?
I don't know. I just haven't really been in an area, or like my parents have never done it really.
See, because in my head, everyone in Minnesota in the wintertime is just out on the frozen lakes wearing really cute scarves and outfits, and there's Christmas lights everywhere, and it's like a movie. I'm sure that's not how it really is. But I would just assume that it's something that everyone kind of did as a kid, I guess, up north. Because that's the way it's presented on TV, you know? And if you've never lived there, you kind of don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm surprised you haven't.
It just depends on where you live, I guess.
Yeah, although I guess maybe more, it's like you're not like in Alaska, you're in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've been ice skating, I think, twice, and both times it was at an indoor place in the South, and it's like a hockey rink or whatever. I think actually one of the places I went is where I ended up going for my graduation from high school. Go figure.
Oh.
So weird. And my takeaway from it was it really hurt my ankles a lot, and the blades were super scary.
Okay.
That's just what I remember. So yeah, neither Chris nor I have much experience with ice skating. If anyone does, let us know what your experience is with it. Love to hear about it. But yeah, let's get into it. What is the first thing we see this week?
It's what is it? It's Minako and Usagi are watching a skating competition thing on TV, and it ends up they're watching the two original characters that end up being the villains of this episode, and they're just gushing over them.
So cool!
Oh, wow, they sure are. I can see why they won the gold medal in the Winter Olympics.
Oh, I wish I could do that.
Serena, please.
Yeah, and I thought this nuance was interesting because even though it's like a Lita episode, we have this unique moment of Mina and Serena just one-on-one, kind of having some bonding time, and it sort of establishes a factor of their relationship, which is usually when they're together like this, it's TV, video games, or, quote, cute boys, referencing, of course, when they meet Haruka or Amara, Sailor Uranus. And I thought it was worth mentioning because something that comes up a lot in the series, especially later, is like they all mention their strong friendships with Serena. And like we actually get to see their friendships with her in the 90s series in like a detailed way like this. So we kind of get what they're talking about, and it makes like the big risks they take mean more, I think. Did you notice that at all?
Well, I mean, I haven't really seen. I didn't watch any of Crystal because I didn't like the art style, and I've only seen. Well, I've seen most of the like new movies that have came out. So, but I know it's.
They're more fast-paced because they're movies, though, I would assume.
Yeah.
That's kind of a movie thing. It's not really their fault. But no, you know what I mean, though. By when they can take the time to add these details, it elevates the serious moments, in my experience, anyway. So you said they're watching these two skaters on TV. Do they have names in... You said their names, right? What was it?
I didn't, but it's... I think it's the same in English too for the original dub in Japanese because they're supposed to be foreign. So they're called the guy is named Misha, and then his partner is Janelin.
Misha!
Janelle, we're going for the goal, the perfect 10.
They just changed her to Janelle, so it's Misha and Janelle in the Deke one. It's very similar. Are they Russian in the Japanese?
I think they must be, because I noticed that even in the Viz redub that they both have Russian accents too.
Yeah, they have it in the original Deke as well. So that's just a through line for all three characters. I guess the idea being that, like, I don't really know why they made that choice, honestly. I was trying to think, like, did Russians win the Winter Olympics around that time or something? But I don't follow sports, so I was like, good luck me remembering that. If anyone knows, let us know. This would have been right around the 1990, or maybe actually earlier when this was created, right?
In Japan, 1990. And it came out in the air date for this episode in Japan was January 9th, 1993.
I imagine it was written before that, so early 90s Winter Olympics, if it was like the Russians were a big contender or something, that maybe that's why. It just seemed like a specific choice, and you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why. But anyway, Luna and Artemis are discussing skating on the moon, and why is this significant?
Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast, will return after these messages. And now, more Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast.
You think since she likes skating so much, maybe it's a sign her old princess self is emerging?
Could be. Skating sure was popular back in the old days on the moon.
Yeah. And Princess Serena was one of the best.
What? Really? Hey, I'm not surprised. I'm just a grab bag of the most amazing talent. Ooh.
Because Luna mentions that Princess Serenity was a very good ice skater, so that makes Usagi all excited, even though she ends up being really at it.
Yeah. Did you notice anything too about when we get this, like, I mean, animation wise, when we go back to the past? It's not that long, but we get these scenes on the moon of the ice skating and some of the like people of the moon and everything.
Yeah, it's always really pretty when that happens in the original series.
Yeah, and I thought something specific they did great with this one, because they show all the, it's kind of like I don't know what you call it, a crowd, I guess, of moon people, and they did a really good job of making them like unique but nondescript at the same time. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You'd have to, I think I'll screen cap it and try to share it when we do this episode, or when I post it. I just thought that detail was nice, and of course I love anything on the moon. And then we get more Negaverse drama, and what's going on with Evil Prince D and Malachite here.
Kunzite is just planning on using the local gymnasium, skating rink, whatever, to entrap girls. And Mamoru says that he should just go and fight them head on. And Kunzite just says that, you know, if his own plan succeeds, then that's all that matters. And then it cuts to Misha and Janelin arguing by themselves in the skating rink, and then in the middle of it, Kunzite just appears and says that they'll work for him, and then obviously he, you know, brainwashes them off screen.
Okay, see, and this was another episode where I was wondering when that happened, and it could have been because I was taking notes, but I kept pausing this time so I wouldn't miss stuff. I really don't think I missed it. I think they cut that out for time. Like, I don't think we see Malachite / Kunzite actually tell them that he's going to work for them, but I could be wrong. I probably am. Honestly,
that wouldn't make any sense otherwise.
It wouldn't, but there were other episodes though where it's just like, why is this lady evil? You know, so it could be another one of those. I think I probably missed it, honestly.
Down, boys, down. Malachite, you better get on with your figure skating plan. Let's hope it works.
It will. What's wrong with you, Janelle? Timing way off.
Get a new partner then.
Huh? Janelle and Misha, you just got a new boss. As of now, you're working for the Negaverse.
But I thought also, I don't know, how do you feel about it, but the dynamic between Darien and Kunzite is already a little tired to me.
Yeah, I don't really care that much about it.
It's like every time it comes up, I'm just like, we get it, you don't agree, wah wah. Like, yeah. Let's move it along. But yeah, so, and it's short usually though, so that's good. We jump back to the girls, and I thought this was a fashion moment worth highlighting. Do you remember anyone's outfit here specifically?
Yeah, Makoto just has the, green form-fitting dress that has a lace-up in the back. And the other girls have similar things, but I don't think they're not bad at all, but it's just, like, they're just fine.
Oh, I thought they were all pretty cute. I liked Lita's two-tone green dress. It had, like, the darker green is, like, the dress on the outside with something lighter underneath that covers up. Amy had, like, a salmon orange colored... It was like an oversized blazer with long sleeves and then like a high neck gray-blue top underneath and a dark shirt. Mm-hmm. And I'm highlighting this because for a couple of reasons. I know some people have like a nostalgic hit from specific fashion styles, but also I thought they did a good job of like, Amy would be the one in a turtleneck. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. Like it's like their choices fit their characters very well. Serena has like this purple pink oversized sweater. It's like a casual green top and then a pleated red and orange skirt. And then Mina has, it looks like a denim jacket, which was, I think, really popular at the time. It's like a trendy thing, right? She would be the one to follow the trends. She's got a red top underneath and some like short shorts. They don't look like Daisy Dukes. I don't think they would do that, but it's like almost there. And then Luna and Artemis both look like wet noodles draped over Serena and Mina's shoulders because they're tired. So I just thought anyone who cares about that was something worth highlighting. And also, anytime they do that, it's more effort with design and animation, you know?
Yeah.
So I do like to highlight that. In the skating rink, they're going there to see, I guess, if Serena is actually good, right?
Yeah.
And is that really the only reason they're there?
Well, I think it's more so that they're just going as like a fun outing for all of them to do together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they didn't really give it much of a reason either in the deep version. And I guess the only reason that stuck out to me is because they usually have a reason for doing things. One thing, I'm going to start keeping a thing of these. I just labeled this as Amy Anderson girl genius quote number 1. I've said some already, but this is the first one I'm keeping track of. She just goes, "Oh, I should be studying for my universal statistical analysis and mathematical theory exams." And she just like casually throws that out of nowhere. I don't know how to explain it. It's just such a funny way of being like, "See, she's smart." Like, I don't know. It feels wedged in for some reason to me more than I noticed as a kid. And it just makes me laugh. What's Serena's status as an ice skater?
We already talked about it.
Yeah, not great. And we get to see some ice skating outfits. I personally think the outfits we just described were a little more interesting because the ice skating outfits are just kind of like skating outfits in their respective colors, right?
Yeah.
And what did you think of the animation of the ice skating like performance we get to see?
I think for this episode that the sequences between both Misha and Janelin and then all the scenes between Makoto and Misha are the best. This episode was done by Kazuko Tadano, which was she's the queen for seasons 1 and 2. Which, I mean, from this episode, I didn't immediately recognize that it was her until it got to the better parts, because the rest of it is just, it's animated fine. Like, it's not spectacular or anything besides those scenes that I mentioned.
I was going to say something similar to where it was all kind of just baseline good. Like, there was nothing like wildly out of place, but then there were certain scenes where it just really stepped it up a lot. And definitely the ice skating scene was one of it. I thought the design for Misha specifically was very well done as well.
Yeah.
Can you describe what she looks like?
Oh, you mean the guy?
I'm sorry, Janelle. I meant Janelle.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just a petite girl with interesting hair. It's short and kind of spiked up, but not in a punk way, more just in a, foreigner chic way, and it's blonde and pink.
Yeah, and she has like this blue headband, and then her outfit is almost similar to a sailor outfit if you pay attention, because in the back it has the bow, where they do it's just in a lot smaller ribbon, and it has the same silhouette. Also, something about the way they drew her face, she just seems like someone who would have a harsh personality the way she does, just by aesthetics as well. I don't know. I thought it just hits really well, and the color choices were really nice. I think the hair looks great. I thought the male Misha, I thought he was okay. What does he look like?
He looks like, a general pretty male character from an older anime. He has lightly tanned skin. He's tall. He has wavy blonde hair that partially covers one of his eyes.
Yeah, I thought his design was, like, as you said, kind of generic for the time period for Pretty Guy. And then the outfits they chose for him, it might be more of what male ice skaters were wearing in that time period. I really don't know. Because now it's a little more, like, heightened, I guess, and fashion forward. But he was just basically in, like, tuxedo pants and a white shirt, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't move in tuxedo pants. You know what I mean? That's not an ice skating pant.
Yeah.
So it just seemed like an odd choice for him stylistically. Who we already know, but it turns out Sailor Jupiter is actually really great at this because of her abilities as they call her Princess Jupiter. The cats do. The other three girls are average and Serena's terrible, and a little jealous of Lita's skills. And she can't understand why she's not just automatically good at it. Which, considering all of the weird magical stuff that's happened to her so far, I'm kind of like, fair enough, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, why can I magically throw a disc, but I can't do this if I could do it before? That doesn't make sense. Also, Lita is almost as tall as Misha. Or Mikoto is. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting thing. What happens when Lita ends up skating alone with Misha?
Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast, will return after these messages. And now, more Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast.
Ah, Mr. Malachite.
So, you think you can figure out who Sailor Moon is by her movements and athletic ability?
Of course. You know, I have some experience since being gold medalist.
Well, yes, that's right, but you've never seen her in person before, so be careful.
Yes. No. No. Sailor Moon is supposed to be the very best warrior, but a little clumsy. She can't be as bad as this oaf. Misha.
Beautiful skating. You want to skate with me?
Oh, I'd love to. I'm so flattered you asked.
He's so nice. And I love his hair. It's just like my old boyfriend Freddie's. No, it's a whole lot nicer than Freddie's because Freddie dumped me. Oh, Misha.
This one has to be Sailor Moon. Ready to skate?
I'm sorry, I'm too heavy, huh? Let's try something different. She just lifted Misha over her head.
No one in the world's ever done that, have they?
Lita does something which I don't know. I assume it's something that isn't really or hasn't been done often, even in real life, but she lifts Misha, the guy. Although if it's like a petite man, I don't see why not. But he's not. He's tall. And that was something that everyone was like super impressed with. Plus the way they animate it is one of the stronger moments, I thought, for the episode. And after Janelle gets all mad, she locks down the building. And it's supposed to separate everybody, I guess, because some of the girls are outside, but Serena's still inside. And as she's skipping down the hallway, Janelle opens a door into her face, which allows her to see that video room that you were just talking about, which tips her off, like, oh, something's up here. And then we cut back to Lita and Misha with some more of this great animation, and they're being all, I don't know, like Lita's doing the Lita thing, right? Where she's like, he looks so nice, or whatever it is. And then Janelle shows up, and what happens?
She's just saying her emotions that she was thinking and saying out loud to herself in the control room, and then her anger makes her transform into her monster form, and she moves to attack them both, and then it really only gets Makoto. Makoto just moves out of the way, and then she possesses Misha to change into his monster form as well, and they both attack Makoto with their skates, with a skate kick.
She possesses him in the Japanese version.
Well, it's just like how her eyes are glowing red, and then when he's looking at her, his eyes do the same thing, and then she just reaches out her hand, and then he grabs it, and he transforms into, yeah.
You're probably right. They weren't really specific about how that happened, but it does make sense. And I thought that both of their transformation from human to monster was pretty good. Especially Misha's, because it was almost like a mini Scout transformation without the sparkles. Yeah. It was pretty cool. So, and their monster forms, it's like Misha is basically just her, or is basically just a green-haired tuxedo mask and skates, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then Janelle's is much better, but it's like, it's a variation of her human form because she was already kind of like unique looking.
Yeah.
Basically. But they didn't really change them too much either. And Sailor Moon appears, and what happens?
She transforms right away, jumps down, and then Makoto is still incapacitated. And then when Usagi starts trying to fight the pair, and then Tuxedo Mask shows up and helps her in a way. Like, he claims that he's not actually helping her, but they end up working more closely together in this scene than they have any other time that he's been possessed.
Yeah. And I thought that the detail of I don't know if you mentioned it, but the skates appearing on her shoes was pretty cool. Yeah. But she still can't skate. But it kind of gives you this moment of like, oh, hey, she's going to like be able to do this. And then it's like, no. But yeah, we get this, like you were saying, Tuxedo actually helps, and they're doing this whole moment with the ice skating, which I thought looked really great. Who has to save them, though?
Jupiter shows up, or well, she just uses, all of a sudden you see the animation for the Supreme Thunder attack. The other girls show up, and then Kunzite also shows up, and using his power, he hijacks the overhead, like, industrial size fan in the rink, and then he makes it blow frigid air enough to start freezing, like making enough to freeze somebody if it kept going, and then he disappears again, and then Tuxedo Mask just easily figures out the way to stop it is by throwing his baton to break the control, and then after that happens, then Usagi heals Misha and Janelle back to their human forms.
Yeah. This battle in general is interesting for a few reasons. Jupiter just showing up out of nowhere, it kind of felt like they needed to have her do something because it was her episode, but it also felt a little like, wasn't she just injured? You know?
Yeah.
And then the other girls coming in, though, I liked when they dropped from the ceiling and they had like the different colors behind them. That to me is something as like when I was making anime music videos back in the day, I would look for things like that were less stock and more unique.
Original.
Yeah. And so that is one of those moments if I'm looking for kind of a fun, colorful, highlighted spot or whatever, I might pull something from there. And then there was like this nega globe in the ceiling that I don't think we see, at least not in the deke, how it ends up there. But that's what Kunzite or Malachite is using to control this Arctic blast thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I especially enjoy an anime when, especially if it's like a magical setting like this, where they pull from the environment as well as part of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he uses this mechanical air conditioning to try to freeze them. And then just kind of like the serendipitous stuff that happens to me a lot on the Cardcaptors show. We're a few episodes in and I just took notes for the one I have to record later today. And it essentially has exactly the same thing in it, where, like, they lure a card that needs to be frozen into a, it's like a walk-in freezer. And then they use another card to, like, chill it and freeze it, like a wind thing. And it's just so funny to me that it's like the same principle was applied in both episodes that I'm recording on the same day. So there's that unique moment.
Yeah.
I like that we saw Tuxedo throw his cane. We don't see that much. And yeah, I don't know. The battle was pretty interesting all around. What did you think? If you had battle-wise, do you enjoy this one?
Yeah, it's a fun episode. Even though it does feel really fast-paced, but I think that's also because it's a filler episode.
I probably noticed it less because I was pausing so much, but I did have to pause a lot. So you're probably right about that. And then we have a closing scene. What is the last scene?
Yeah, it's typical Makoto behavior for the series. They're outside of the rink. She's, kind of wallowing about the situation with Misha. And then some guy walks by, and then she's fawning over him again, and she says in the Japanese, it's like the shape of his nose is the same as the senpai that broke my heart, and all the girls just fall over in the typical anime embarrassment reaction to something that somebody says, and then it's Usagi's face. It just closes in on Usagi's face saying something about it, and that's how it ends.
Hey, Lita.
Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I guess it just wasn't meant to be, but hey, I'm cool. I'll find myself another guy and... Oh. What a hunk! He reminds me of Freddy, that hair, those eyes. Très cool, don't you think?
Not again.
It's a cute way to close the episode. And they do this a lot with, I think, almost all of the ones that center on Sailor Jupiter as a character building thing, which is, yeah, she gets really emotional and wrapped up in all this stuff, and she'll get really hurt when things doesn't work out. But it's like her ability to move on quickly, well, they make fun of it, is honestly, like, in some cases, a benefit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, you should, like, mourn the loss of certain relationships, but at the end of the day, all things are temporary. And when something ends, it's like the in-between period before you're kind of yourself again. The shorter that is, usually the better. I don't know. So for her, it's kind of I think it's a great characteristic for her to have, especially if she's going to be going and being, like, attracted to, like, every person that walks past her.
Yeah.
It's going to be let down a lot. Just a few interesting notes about this episode. We have Lita's old boyfriend in the Deke version he's given a name, and it's Freddy. And it's also revealed that he dumped her. I don't think they had said that yet.
Yeah, I don't think she ever puts a name to any ex that she had in the Japanese.
Probably not, because I think they wanted to leave it ambiguous. And then also, Misha and Janelle are the only characters to retain their original names after being turned into monsters. I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, I think they just, when they're monsters, they call themselves that, whatever that team name is. Like, it's...
yeah, you're right.
Some like, Russian Zoint Geller or whatever.
They don't call themselves that, I don't think, in the Deke version, which probably is why. And then also, I think this is referencing the Deke universe, which includes the card game. So I think on the card, it's like they are Misha and Janelle as a monster.
Yeah.
I don't know, though. But anyway, let us know what you guys think of these two as monsters. I think they're, when it comes to, like, monsters specifically, some of the most interesting we've had this far. Would you agree?
Yeah.
And to me, the thing that makes them so interesting is that their monster forms are still so human-like, and it seems like so connected to their human forms, whether or not the Negaverse was involved. I don't know, I found that detail kind of interesting.
Yeah.
What would you rate this week's episode?
Probably 3.5.
Yeah. Why 3.5?
I would give it higher if it had a more normal pacing, and if it had, more overall consistent animation.
Yeah. I think I'm right there with you this week. 3.5 for me as well. Pretty much the same reasons that you listed. Something about it to me that makes it not rate higher is that even though it's one I always remember, and there are moments in it that I really enjoy, it's one that almost feels like there's a blandness to it compared to other episodes. Not compared to all anime, but I just think that something about it, well, it might be the animation style. I don't know what it is. But there's just something at the end of it where it's like pizza in the sense that it's good because it's pizza. We like pizza, even if it's a 7-Eleven pizza. You know what I mean? But it's not like a New York slice or whatever. It's just not quite hitting where it needs to. So yeah, this fairly middle of the road, slightly above average filler episode. The Sailor says this week,
Lita was pretty broken up when Misha went back to Janelle, but that doesn't make Lita a loser. It's hard not getting something you want, but that doesn't make you a loser either. As bad as you feel, sorrows or disappointments often help us grow up and make us wiser. We learn a lesson. Then again, some people don't. But don't let one disappointment keep you from seeing all the other good things in your life. Sailor Moon says.
What do you want to say about this Sailor Says?
Again, I think it's one that is more applicable to a younger audience because the older you get, regardless of what the situation is, you don't get affected as much by not getting things that you want, regardless of how serious it is. I mean, yeah, it's always more of a bigger deal if it's something like a job interview, but just as you get older, you're not if you have like a healthy confidence level and you like yourself enough, then, and you have enough other interests to distract you and whatever, a bunch of different reasons, and you don't let yourself get as bothered by not getting things that you want or things turning out your way.
Yeah. And to build on that, I think we've said it before, but the more life experience you have, the more you realize that oftentimes a no is for a reason.
Yeah.
And you don't always get to know that reason, usually until much, much later. But I've had things that I thought I wanted, and then 10 years later, I look at it and I look at, well, if I had done this, then I probably would have done that, and this is where it ended up. And I'm like, hoo-hoo, I'm glad I didn't do that. Or I'm glad that was not a yes for me, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So there's definitely an element of that to it. I think the way that it's presented in The Sailor Says definitely, like you were saying, fits a younger audience. But at the same time, like I've mentioned before here, I'm not going to get into specifics, but I've had some pretty challenging moments in my 20s and earlier with grief and loss and all of that. And in the moment, even when you're going through something like really heavy, this message is still important because you still do learn something from it, and it still does make you stronger, even if it feels like really bad in the moment. Yeah. And if you can remember that, you can kind of hold on to that. It's almost like a buoy in the storm where you're just like, listen, I know this sucks right now, self, but everything is temporary. This will pass eventually. Let's take it. And you kind of do end up taking it one day at a time when it feels that bad. Mm-hmm. But the good news is it's true. Eventually you get through it. And from every negative experience I've ever had in my life, I have learned something. I can definitely say that. So I think this is absolutely a good message to bring into adulthood.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add about that?
No.
Okay. I like that Sailor Says. I think it's pretty cute. I think it's kind of a timeless one, too, though. That's it for this one. I forgot to talk to you about it, but have you seen... Or you need time to watch episode 3 for the Cardcaptor one, right? That's it for this week's episode of Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast. I'm so happy to be back. I hope you guys enjoyed our first episode in a while. There's not a lot I want to add about it other than also, hey, we have an outro song. Actually, we have a couple that I haven't really settled on which one I'm going to use, so here's the one I picked for today. Hope you guys enjoy it, and you can look forward to hearing some of the other ones in the future. But for now, that's all I really want to say, other than go ahead and comment wherever you listen or engage with our show, and let us know what you think of this episode. I love it when you guys comment personal experiences, like, oh, I love this episode because me and my friend were really big into ice skating when we were kids, and when we saw this, it just was so special for us. Whatever it is, I want to hear about it. I want to hear your connection to Sailor Moon, because obviously Chris and I are sharing ours with you. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna let our AI friends, what do we call AI Amy, get into the plugs and the exit stuff, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
For more of Chris, you can find him on all platforms at Chris Mayek. That's Chris, Mayek. For more of Alex, you can find him on Instagram at Alex Summers SFE. Be sure to follow the Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast Facebook page for exclusive updates and media you can't get anywhere else. You can visit the official Moonstar website at www.moonstarpod.com. Moonstar is brought to you in part by Sailor Moon Video. Shop authentic Sailor Moon VHS and DVDs today at www.sailormoonvideo.com. Use offer code Moonstar to save 10%. Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast, is intended for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. We claim no ownership over any licensed and/or copyrighted audio clips, sound effects, or other materials used during the creation of our show. All audio clips, sound effects, and any other licensed or copyrighted materials used during the creation of this show, or any content created in relation to Moonstar, a Sailor Moon podcast, belong expressly to the license and copyright holders.
Prepare to fight! Get up, losers!
Jupiter Thunder!
Sailor Jupiter!
Some gold medalists. It must have been fool's gold.
I'll get you!
Scouts, glad you're here!
Nice to see you, Scouts, again, one last time. And Prince Darien, if you'd only minded your own business, we'd have that crystal.
Malachite!
I can't stand it anymore.
Gotta stop it!
It stopped! It's over!
Sailor Moon, that's your cue.
Oh, right!
Janelle.
Misha!
Hey! Where
Where's Tuxedo Mask? Where'd he go? Have you guys seen him?